In the vast expanse of the universe, an alien empire, renowned for its power and ruthless conquests, set its eyes on humanity. The ancient empire had crushed countless species under its boot, bending them to their will. Their technology was unmatched, their armies a tidal wave of destruction, and their belief in the superiority of their race was absolute. To them, humans were just another insignificant species to subjugate and enslave. They arrived without hesitation, certain that their arrival would mark the end of humanity's resistance. But they had underestimated something essential. Humanity, with its boundless resilience, its raw defiance, and its relentless spirit, was not a species that could be easily bent. They had survived wars, disasters, and centuries of struggle. It was in their blood, this unwillingness to break, to submit, or to give in. When the aliens arrived, they expected cities to fall and the human race to bow in submission. Instead, they found themselves face to face with a world that refused to kneel. Humans fought back not with advanced weaponry, but with something far more dangerous: human ingenuity and the sheer will to survive. The resistance was not just military, it was philosophical, a battle of ideals that the invaders had never anticipated. They had encountered species that crumbled under pressure, but humans forged under it. The alien empire's soldiers, used to imposing their will without challenge, were taken aback by humanity's unyielding spirit. Every attempt to break them only made humanity stronger. With every failed attempt to control the planet, humanity's warriors grew more determined. The invaders soon realized that their methods of control were useless here. Humanity did not bend, it stood tall, fought back with ferocity, and found strength in adversity. What the aliens didn't understand was that humanity's power didn't come from advanced technology or overwhelming numbers, it came from within. The human soul was not a thing to be crushed, it was a flame that could not be extinguished. The more they tried to dominate humanity, the more humanity found ways to rise. They would not bow, not ever. Humans had learned long ago that when you face the darkest moments, you don't break, you forge yourself into something stronger. The war between humanity and the alien empire raged on, and the aliens, baffled by the ferocity of their human opponents, began to question their own superiority. What was it about these creatures that allowed them to keep fighting, even when they were pushed to the brink of extinction? The invaders began to adapt, sending more advanced soldiers and deploying newer technologies, but every attempt only seemed to push the humans to innovate even faster. The humans were resilient, yes, but they were also resourceful. They had something that no one could have predicted: a seemingly unending capacity to invent, adapt, and evolve in the heat of battle. A turning point came when humanity discovered the aliens' greatest weakness, a flaw buried deep within the heart of their empire. The aliens, in their arrogance, had relied on one central hub, a massive warship in orbit that coordinated their forces across the galaxy. It was invulnerable to conventional attacks, its shields impenetrable, and its weapons unmatched. But humans were nothing if not persistent. They knew the ship's power source had to have a vulnerability, and they set their minds to finding it. Led by a group of brilliant engineers and soldiers, humanity devised a daring plan. They would infiltrate the aliens' own territory, fighting their way through the heart of their strongest defenses, and plant a device capable of disabling the warship's power core. It would be a suicide mission. There were no guarantees of success, but if it worked, the entire alien fleet would lose its most potent weapon. As they neared the ship, the team of soldiers and scientists could feel the weight of what they were about to attempt. The odds were overwhelmingly against them. Yet they marched forward, unwavering. The humans had always been the underdog, and they were used to the long odds. They trusted their ingenuity, their unity, and most of all, their unbreakable will. The journey was grueling. The alien empire threw everything they had at the team: impossibly fast warships, hordes of heavily armored troops, and weapons that could tear through entire cities. But the humans fought with a fierceness that seemed almost beyond reason. They fought not only for survival but for the freedom of their species. With every alien they defeated, their resolve hardened. Every battle, every obstacle, made them stronger, as if their very souls were being tempered by the flames of combat. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, they reached the core of the warship. The massive chamber was filled with alien technology, humming with energy, but there was no time to marvel. The device was set, the countdown began, and the humans made their escape, narrowly avoiding capture. As the device detonated, the warship erupted in a blinding explosion. The entire fleet, dependent on that singular source of power, was left in chaos. The alien empire, once so sure of their domination, now found themselves without their most powerful asset. For the first time, the balance of power shifted. The humans had dealt the first decisive blow. But the war was far from over. The aliens, enraged and humiliated, retaliated with everything they had. Yet no matter what they threw at the humans, they couldn't break them. The more the aliens pressed, the more humanity found ways to adapt. New technologies were developed, new alliances were forged, and humanity's spirit remained as unyielding as ever. With each victory, the humans began to reclaim their world, pushing back the alien invaders, one territory at a time. And as the alien fleet retreated, battered and bruised, the Empire finally began to understand the truth about humanity. The humans didn't just fight to survive. They fought to protect what they loved. They fought for their families, their freedom, their future. And in the end, that was a force no empire, no matter how powerful, could ever defeat. The aliens had come to conquer, but they had learned a brutal lesson: the iron in humanity's veins could never be forged into submission. Instead, it made them unbreakable. The aliens had sought to enslave, but it was they who had been forged in the fire of human resolve. And now, they would learn the true meaning of the word resilience. The alien empire, once certain of their inevitable victory, now found themselves fighting a war they could not win. Their fleets, their armies, their superior technology, all had been turned against them. Humanity's resilience had proven to be an insurmountable wall, and the alien empire's arrogance had led to its undoing. Despite their crushing defeat in battle after battle, the aliens refused to give up. But with each skirmish, each loss, they came to realize that their sense of superiority was no match for humanity's determination. But the war had taken its toll on both sides. The once pristine cities of Earth were now battle-scarred and crumbling. Human resistance groups had become scattered, but their resolve was stronger than ever. Even as the alien empire's remaining forces regrouped and launched one last assault, humanity held firm. No matter the cost, they would not surrender. The final confrontation came in the skies above Earth. The alien empire had gathered its remaining fleet, huge, menacing warships that blotted out the stars, each one capable of wiping out entire continents. Their desperation was palpable. They would use every weapon at their disposal to crush humanity once and for all. Yet the humans, far fewer in number but united like never before, fought back with a fierceness that could not be measured. The battle was brutal. Earth's atmosphere crackled with energy as the skies erupted in fiery explosions. The air was thick with the scent of smoke and the sound of deafening blasts. The aliens used every technological advantage they had, launching fleets of drones, deploying devastating energy weapons, and attempting to turn the tide of the war. But humanity was ready. Every last human fighter, from the skilled pilots to the engineers who had once built peaceful machines, now turned their knowledge toward defense and survival. They adapted on the fly, using the aliens' own technology against them, modifying weapons and tactics in ways the invaders never thought possible. On the ground, human forces fought tooth and nail, pushing through alien lines with relentless determination. They infiltrated bases, sabotaged supply lines, and destroyed alien war machines. The alien empire, so confident just months ago, now found themselves overwhelmed. They had underestimated the one thing that no technology, no weapon could ever replicate: the heart of humanity. As the final battle drew near, humanity launched their most audacious move yet: an all-out assault on the alien mothership, the command center of their operations. The resistance knew that taking down the mothership would cripple the invaders once and for all. Their plan was reckless, but it was humanity's last chance for freedom. A squadron of human ships, piloted by the best of the resistance, sped toward the enormous mothership. It loomed before them, bristling with weapons, its shields glowing with an intensity that could melt entire armies. The humans knew the odds of success were slim. But there was no turning back. They came from every corner of the earth, from every nation and every culture, all united under the banner of survival. The assault was swift and brutal. Waves of human ships clashed against the alien defenses, sacrificing themselves to create a path to the heart of the mothership. One by one, the ships were destroyed, but with each explosion, the aliens' defensive systems weakened. Humanity's warriors knew they had but one chance. And with their courage driving them, they found their mark: a small weakness in the mothership's outer shell. A lone pilot, a woman who had lost everything to the invaders, managed to break through the last line of defense, crashing her ship into the heart of the alien mothership. The explosion that followed was enough to shatter the ship, sending shockwaves throughout the fleet. The invaders' command center was destroyed in an instant, and the rest of their forces, now leaderless and in chaos, began to falter. But even as the alien empire crumbled, the war was not truly over. The remaining alien forces scattered, but they would regroup. The humans had won a decisive victory, yes, but they knew the fight was far from finished. The aliens would come again. However, there was a new understanding among the people of Earth. They were no longer the prey, they were the predators. In the months and years that followed, humanity began rebuilding. Earth, scarred by the ravages of war, would never be the same, but it was theirs. No empire could ever break them again. They would forge new technologies, new alliances, and most importantly, a new future. The fire that had burned within them during the war now burned brighter than ever. The alien empire, having tasted the wrath of humanity, had learned the hard way that humans did not break under pressure they forged. And this lesson would echo across the stars, because humanity's victory wasn't just a matter of survival. It was a statement. The universe had just learned what would happen if it ever tried to enslave the human race again. They would not break. They would forge. Years passed, and the remnants of the alien empire, though diminished and fractured, still lingered in the dark corners of the galaxy, nursing their wounds and plotting. The humans, however, were not complacent. They had learned the lessons of the war, and every corner of Earth echoed with a single purpose: never again would they be caught unprepared. The scars left by the conflict were still fresh, but the spirit of humanity had been irrevocably transformed. The human race, once isolated on a single planet, now looked outward. They had built alliances with other species they had encountered during the war, those who had also suffered under the boot of the alien empire. Together, they formed a new galactic coalition, a loose federation united not by a shared origin, but by a shared experience of survival and defiance. The message was clear: any empire, any force, that sought to dominate the galaxy would have to reckon with this united front of the forged. Technology had advanced in leaps and bounds after the war. Humanity, having scavenged and reverse-engineered the alien tech they had captured, now wielded weapons and tools that were once thought impossible. But more than that, they had something their enemies had never fully understood: a collective will that could never be broken, an unstoppable momentum that drove them forward. Humans had faced extinction, but instead of crumbling, they had risen from the ashes, creating something stronger, something greater. They weren't just survivors anymore, they were the architects of a new galactic order. As humanity ventured beyond Earth, they began to discover what lay in the vast expanse of the universe. New planets were explored, colonized, and forged into thriving, interconnected societies. But with each new discovery came the realization that humanity's fight was far from over. The alien empire, though fractured, had not been completely wiped out. Small factions, those too stubborn or too afraid to accept defeat, had retreated into the deepest corners of the galaxy, rebuilding in secrecy. They knew Earth would eventually reach them. But it was no longer the same human race that had first faced the invaders. The humans who had fought and bled during the war had forged a new generation, a generation that had grown up with the legacy of that war in their hearts. They knew that the galaxy was vast and dangerous, and they were determined not to make the same mistakes their ancestors had. This new humanity was prepared to face any threat head-on, with resolve and strength unshakable. And soon, the aliens would test that resolve. A fleet of warships, remnants of the once mighty empire, appeared in the galaxy's outskirts, picking up the pieces of their shattered forces and preparing to strike once again. They had learned, over the years, that the humans had not forgotten the lessons of their first war. But they also believed that time had dulled humanity's edge, that the human race had grown soft with peace. They were wrong. The human coalition, now a formidable force with technology, tactics, and unity forged by years of war, quickly detected the approaching fleet. They mobilized faster than the aliens had anticipated, using the very systems the invaders had once used against them. This time, humanity's response was swift and strategic. They didn't wait for the aliens to land and begin their conquest. Instead, they brought the fight to them. The battle was fierce, unlike any the galaxy had seen before. But this time, it wasn't humanity fighting for survival. This time, it was humanity fighting for their place in the galaxy, fighting for their future, and fighting for those who would come after them. The aliens, once so certain of their power, found themselves caught in a relentless storm of human willpower. Each ship that fell, each world that humanity liberated, was a testament to their refusal to be conquered. The battle didn't just happen in the stars, it reached the very core of every human heart, every soldier, every diplomat, and every scientist. They knew that to fall to the aliens would mean the end of everything they had fought for, so they didn't. They fought back with everything they had, and more. In the final confrontation, as the alien flagship, massive and imposing, prepared to unleash its last devastating weapon on Earth's primary colony, the human fleet, united and unyielding, took one last stand. The battle raged for hours, a cosmic struggle that would determine the fate of the galaxy. And once again, it was humanity's resilience, its refusal to bend, that turned the tide. The alien flagship, once thought to be invincible, was brought down not through sheer firepower, but through strategy, determination, and the sheer force of the human will. With their defeat, the remnants of the alien empire finally realized the truth. They had underestimated humanity once more. They thought humanity was just another species, just another race to be conquered. But they had learned the hard way that humans were not made to break. They were made to forge. And as the last of the alien fleet scattered into the dark unknown, humanity stood victorious again. Not just as survivors, but as the unrelenting force that had forever changed the course of the galaxy. The universe had learned a brutal, unforgettable lesson. When you face humanity, you face an unstoppable tide of willpower, innovation, and strength. You face the forge. And the forge never breaks. The victory over the alien empire was decisive, but it didn't mark the end of humanity's struggle. In the years that followed, the remnants of the invaders scattered throughout the galaxy, still clinging to their fractured hopes of revenge, but now, Earth and its allies were stronger than ever. Humanity had not only forged a reputation as fierce fighters, they had proven themselves as capable diplomats, engineers, and explorers. The galaxy now watched as the human race ascended from the ashes, no longer confined to their homeworld, but spreading out into the stars, their legacy of resilience becoming a beacon to all who sought to stand against tyranny. But even in peace, humanity never let its guard down. They remembered the lessons of the war, the lessons they had learned in the face of annihilation. Never assume the fight is over, never stop forging, never stop adapting. It wasn't long before humanity began to encounter other alien species, some peaceful, some wary, and some hostile. The scars left by the past were fresh in their minds, and they knew that they couldn't afford to be complacent. Humanity had risen from the brink of destruction before, but the galaxy was a far more complex place than it had been before the war. New alliances were formed, and the remnants of the alien empires, scattered and disorganized, began to form their own coalition, plotting in the dark reaches of space. It was clear they were still bitter, still angry, still plotting their return to power. The new human-led coalition, however, wasn't blind to the dangers. Humanity's growth was swift, fueled by the knowledge gained from the wreckage of the war. Advances in technology, fueled by the alien remnants they had captured and reverse engineered, had pushed human capabilities into realms once thought unattainable. Yet despite these advances, humanity remained cautious. They understood that while they had beaten back their would-be conquerors, the universe was vast and full of dangers far greater than what they had already faced. It was during this period of uneasy peace that a new threat arose, something unlike anything humanity had ever encountered. A race of hyper-intelligent beings, ancient and far beyond the technological prowess of even the most advanced species in the galaxy, made contact. They were called the Elysians, beings who had watched the rise and fall of countless civilizations, who had seen the human struggle unfold from the shadows. They were peaceful, yet enigmatic, with knowledge that surpassed human understanding. They came to humanity with a message: you have passed the test of survival, but now you must prove your worth as guardians of the galaxy. Humanity, wary but intrigued, listened. The Elysians spoke of a threat far greater than the fractured alien empires that still lingered, something that had been lying dormant for millennia, waiting for the right moment to awaken. A dark force, ancient and malevolent, that had once nearly wiped out entire galaxies, was stirring once again. It was a force of destruction, a consuming entity that fed on the very life essence of worlds. And this time, it was heading toward the galaxy humanity now called home. The Elysians, for all their wisdom, could not defeat this threat alone. But they believed that humanity, with their unyielding will and unbreakable resolve, could stand as the galaxy's first line of defense. The human race had, time and again, proven that they could survive against impossible odds. Perhaps, just perhaps, they were the key to halting this ancient darkness. And so, humanity, once again, found itself at the center of the storm. But this time, they would not fight alone. They would unite the galaxy's scattered races, forge alliances, and build an army unlike anything the universe had seen before. As the first fleet of humanity's new coalition set course for the edge of the galaxy, heading toward the unknown threat, there was no fear in their hearts, only the burning fire of defiance. The lessons they had learned during their battles against the alien empire would guide them, but this new fight would require more than just weapons. It would require every ounce of human ingenuity, creativity, and, most importantly, hope. They had fought for their freedom, for their future, and for the survival of everything they held dear. Now, they would fight for the galaxy itself. And in the end, they would not break. They would forge. Humanity, now fully united with their galactic allies, stood on the brink of something monumental. The approaching darkness, a cosmic force known only as the Void, was unlike anything the galaxy had encountered. It wasn't a conqueror or an empire, it was a force of entropy itself, a predator that consumed stars, planets, and entire civilizations, leaving nothing but empty, lifeless voids in its wake. The Elysians, with their millennia of wisdom, described it as the true embodiment of the end, an ancient, unknowable entity that had existed long before any known species, and one that had consumed countless civilizations across the universe's history. It was a threat so dire that even the Elysians, with all their knowledge and power, had failed to halt its advance when it had once risen. But humanity's unique resolve, its ability to adapt, to learn, and to survive against impossible odds, had sparked something the Elysians had never anticipated: hope. The newly formed galactic coalition, comprising humans, various alien species once under threat from the Empire, and others who had only recently made contact, worked relentlessly to prepare for the coming storm. They pooled their resources, technologies, and knowledge. For the first time in history, the galaxy's scattered races united not in fear, but in hope, working together for a common cause: the survival of all life in the galaxy. As the fleet assembled, humanity took the lead, its scientists and engineers creating new, untested technologies based on their experiences from the war against the alien empire. They had reverse-engineered alien tech, combined it with their own innovations, and created weapons designed specifically to counter the Void's unique properties. It was humanity's greatest feat of ingenuity yet. The first unified fleet, a collection of ships from dozens of species, now held the line at the galactic frontier, with Earth's fleet at the head of the charge. Days turned into weeks, then into months, and the Alliance waited at the galaxy's edge, its forces ready. The void approached silently at first, a distortion in the fabric of space, a swirling darkness that seemed to devour everything in its path. Entire star systems fell quiet, their lights flickering out like candles in a storm. The void didn't fight or negotiate, it simply consumed. Finally, the day arrived. As the fleet advanced to the front lines, the first sight of the void filled their viewscreens, a massive, inky black expanse, swirling with terrifying energy, its core pulsing with a malevolent force. The distant stars around it seemed to be drawn inward, as if the very laws of the universe were being rewritten by this consuming entity. The void had no shape, no discernible structure. It was a force, an absence, a hollow hunger that could not be understood by conventional means. And yet, in its depths, humanity sensed something. A malign intelligence, ancient beyond comprehension. The first skirmish was brief and devastating. The human and allied fleets unleashed their combined weaponry on the void, but their attacks dissipated in the endless darkness, absorbed without effect. The void retaliated with devastating beams of energy, warping reality itself. Ships disappeared into the abyss with no trace. It was clear that no conventional weapon would have any lasting effect on this force of annihilation. But the humans had something no other race could match: their will. Humanity's fighters, now facing what seemed an insurmountable foe, pressed forward, determined not to repeat the mistakes of the past. They knew the void could not be defeated with brute force alone. It had consumed civilizations across the universe because they lacked the one thing humanity possessed: the ability to forge ahead in the face of complete annihilation. Among the Alliance, a plan began to take shape: a risky, almost suicidal idea that was humanity's last chance. If they couldn't destroy the void, perhaps they could seal it away, trap it in a way that would prevent it from consuming the galaxy. It would require a sacrifice, a gamble that relied not on technology alone, but on the ingenuity of the human spirit. The plan hinged on a new technology humanity had pioneered, a massive energy shield capable of disrupting the void's fundamental structure. It was a shield that could stabilize the space-time fabric, creating a containment field that would trap the void in a temporal loop, preventing it from advancing further. The device, though unstable, could have the potential to lock the void away for a time. The only problem was, the device could not be activated from a safe distance. The human fleet would have to place the device at the heart of the void, risking everything. The decision was made. The fleet, knowing the cost of failure, began the approach. Humanity's bravest pilots, soldiers, and scientists volunteered for the mission to plant the device in the heart of the void's ever-growing expanse. These volunteers were willing to sacrifice everything, knowing the fate of the galaxy rested on their shoulders. The final battle began. Humanity's forces, once again united, held their ground against the void, creating a diversion long enough for the device to be deployed. But as the pilots made their way deeper into the void's consuming presence, the darkness seemed to pull at them, testing their resolve. Entire ships were lost in the process, torn apart by the destructive forces that lay beyond the event horizon. But those who remained pressed on. Finally, a ship, led by a human captain and her crew, reached the core of the void. The device was deployed, its engines roaring to life as it began to pull the surrounding space-time into its distortion field. But the void was not so easily trapped. Its pull became stronger, its intensity overwhelming. The captain of the ship, staring into the endless darkness, made a final choice. With no time left for retreat, she activated the last command. The device flared with impossible energy, its structure breaking the laws of physics themselves. The void screamed, a sound like nothing humanity had ever heard before, as the fabric of space around it twisted, buckled, and finally collapsed in on itself. For a moment, it seemed as though the universe itself was holding its breath. Then, as the explosion of energy rippled outward, the void vanished. The galaxy was saved. The captain and her crew, heroes who had sacrificed everything, had succeeded. The void had been contained, for now. But humanity knew that in the vastness of the universe, there would always be new challenges, new threats. But no matter what came next, humanity had proven one undeniable truth to the galaxy. They would not break. They would forge. And no force in the universe could ever stand against them. The galaxy, once again, held its breath. The rippling shockwave from the device's activation sent tremors through the fabric of space itself, as if the very universe had been disturbed by the magnitude of humanity's defiance. For a brief moment, everything was still. Then, slowly, the stars began to return to their normal patterns, the galaxies no longer warping in unnatural spirals. The void, that ancient, malevolent presence that had threatened to unravel all existence, was gone. Humanity had done it. They had once again defied the odds and forged a victory where no one else could. Yet, as the shock of their triumph began to settle, the cost of their victory became apparent. The crew of the ship, the ones who had initiated the device's deployment at the heart of the void, were lost. Their sacrifice ensured the survival of the galaxy, but they would never return. No word would ever reach their families, no hero's parade would welcome them home. They had given their lives to save all that humanity had built. The grief was palpable. Yet, amidst the sorrow, humanity's resolve remained unshaken. The galaxy had witnessed their unyielding spirit, their ability to adapt, survive, and ultimately rise above the greatest of threats. The galaxy's allies, those who had once feared humanity's fiery independence, now saw them as not just survivors, but as leaders' beacons of hope and strength. But the war was not over, and peace was never permanent. The Elysians, those ancient beings who had guided humanity in their darkest moments, watched from afar. Their race was ancient and powerful, but even they had their limits. For the first time in their history, they approached humanity with an offer to become their successors in the cosmic balance. They spoke of a responsibility not just to protect the galaxy from threats like the void, but to guide it toward a future where no darkness could ever again rise. The idea of becoming the guardians of the galaxy was daunting. Humanity had always prided itself on its independence. The offer to lead such a vast and powerful group of species was a heavy burden. Yet, for the first time, humanity saw a path forward where they could protect not just Earth, but the entire galaxy. The time had come for them to take the reins, not just as warriors, but as peacekeepers, as builders. Humanity didn't make this decision lightly. There were factions within the coalition who disagreed. There were still those who believed in freedom above all else and feared that with too much power, humanity would fall into the same traps the alien empires had. But in the end, the decision was made. Humanity would lead. But leadership, they knew, was a challenge that would never cease. There would always be new threats, new challenges, new obstacles to face. The void had been contained, but there were still remnants of the alien empires lurking in the shadows, their bitter grudges brewing. Other cosmic forces, more ancient than even the void, watched from the farthest reaches of the universe, waiting for the opportunity to strike. Humanity's place in the galaxy had been forged in fire, and now they would forge a new destiny. The role of protector, guide, and leader would not be easy, but it was one humanity would take with unwavering resolve. The lessons they had learned, the sacrifices they had made, would ensure that no force, whether from the stars or within their own ranks, could undo the future they had built. The ships of the human fleet now sailed farther than they ever had before, exploring new worlds, forging new alliances, and seeking out threats before they could reach the galaxy's core. Humans were not just soldiers, they were diplomats, scientists, teachers, builders. They knew that the true strength of their civilization lay in their unity, in their ability to adapt, and in their willingness to forge ahead, no matter the cost. The galaxy, once a fragmented collection of stars and species, was becoming something more, a united whole, with humanity at its heart. From the ashes of war, they had built something greater than any empire. They had built a future. And as they sailed toward the unknown depths of the galaxy, humanity knew one truth above all. They would not break. They would forge. And the galaxy would forever remember what it meant to face humanity, the people who rose from destruction, the people who never stopped fighting, and the people who had, against all odds, made the universe their own.